take a look at Bodhi's accomplishments. We already know that NAIC senior champion from last year got a top 32 San Antonio Regionals and the top 64 LAIC just this season, and then Toronto Regional senior champion that last season as well.
Yep, very impressive accomplishments, and looking to continue that now in the Masters division and doing it with the Gardevoir EX deck. It's a deck that certainly loves to highlight skill, and Bodhi has shown that he has plenty of that to go around.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at Sam's accomplishments. World's top 32 2017, Portland Regionals top 4 2017. Already here yet again, LAIC top 32, and then World's top 4 in 2016. Famously with his Sammy box.
Oh yeah.
Vileplume toolbox. And only plays a few tournaments a year. So doing pretty well at those few tournaments he plays in.
Yeah, there's a lot of legends throughout time for Pokemon that just show up once or twice out of the blue and remind us that they still got it. And Sam is certainly amongst those players. Rocking the Giratina V-Star this time around. Flower selecting is one of the best abilities that we've seen in quite a while. We got worried with Iron Hands that maybe some of these decks would start to fall to the wayside, but not yet.
Not yet, indeed. Both of these players, look at those records. 11-2-2, 11-1-3. They've had to battle it out this entire weekend.
Ooh, Clap Stadium.
That's a big one, Clap Stadium. One Curlia, that Scream
Whoa,
Tail.
whoa, whoa. Hey,
Oh.
we need those.
3 Battle VIP Pass, 2 Mirage Gate, and a Super Rod. Could this be Sam's starting hand?
We need a Pokemon too, but yeah, that's not good. Not only does it mean you probably won't find all the Pokemon you want, but access to the Mirage Gate, the first Mirage Gate, is usually the most difficult. You need that right when you reach 7 so that you can continue and put on pressure. Maybe this is like a Cramorant kind of game.
Seems like it, Kyle. Well, here we go. The handshake. Looks like Bodhi is going to start things off going first as Ralt's in the active, staring down a Comfey from Sam's side of the board.
That's
Fog
not
Crystal.
a Mew.
It's not a Mew, yeah.
Yeah, Bodhi earlier on stream just rocking that Mew in the active spot almost every single time. It's going to be the Ralts and the Fog Crystal this time around, and it's a good look at the opening deck search, and won't be as surprised as Sam is.
Again, one thing we also saw earlier with Bodhi is just always having that Battle VIP pass. It'll be interesting to see if he does or not. But starting with the Fog Crystal, you kind of have to expect it's not in the hand.
Yeah, we got a quick flash of the hand. I'm not sure if we see a Psychic Energy, but that'd be nice to find a retreat option, maybe into a card like Mew, but I'm not sure if we have that either. This is not typical.
Well, we can search for the Mew with this Fog Crystal if you want. Again, that relies having a Psychic Energy in your hand to retreat the active, but Bodhi is going to opt for that Ralts here.
Yep. If you don't have one, then it's not worth going for the other. So find some Ralts.
Quick flash of the hand, but it did not look very good here.
Ooh, changing his mind.
But he does opt to go with the Mew instead of that Ralts. Potentially having the Psychic in hand to retreat, maybe Reversal Energy, but that would not be the best retreat here. And yeah, it is that Reversal Energy. Mysterious Tail, big 6 cards.
Ooh, Battle VIP.
How about a
no.
Countercatcher? Do you think it's a Mirage Step?
There's 2 counter catchers in hand. That is a huge risk, but understandably went for it there. If you find the Battle VIP pass, surely you know that you're gonna have a few more Ralts to work with. This is not great. There was also a Refinement Curlia in the prize cards. There's one in hand too.
Yeah.
Mirage Step gets 1.
Meanwhile, Sam's starting off the best way possible. Colress's Experiment, but ooh, 3 energy and 2 switch card.
Did you guys shuffle?
Cards. I don't think anyone shuffled here.
This is not ideal. Of course, those switch cards are nice to find, but every time that you throw away a basic energy into the Lost Zone, you come to regret it. It's not a happy feeling. thankfully, the deck usually does play a fair amount of energies, understanding that this is going to be something you run into. So with 13 and none of the prize cards, maybe you can afford to lose a couple.
Looking like a pretty good hand here for Sam. Does have Nest Ball to search out that Cramorant, has another Comfey, and with the switch card and energy, we'll be able to get a Spit instantly off this turn. It's really going to matter if you can find an escape rope.
With Nest Ball there, the potential to continue to draw, find some more resources, maybe Radiant Greninja would be nice, but ultimately taking a knockout here would be fantastic. If you can remove the Ralts from play with the Cramorant, escape rope, whatever it may be, that's a way to really put some pressure on Bodhi, and it doesn't matter what your prize cards are if your opponent doesn't have a Ralts in play.
Yeah, even taking a knockout on the Mew is going to be beneficial here. Just force as much pressure on Bodhi as possible for these next couple of turns. That is the benefit of playing this Lost Zone engine. Just really able to get out of the ground running with an early attack from that Cramorant.
List is playing 2 escape rope. We've seen a lot of different counts throughout the history of this deck, and they've settled on the 1 switch along with the ropes, and a lot of that is a credit to Rahul just saying, you know what? A lot of the time, the Pokemon we want to attack is in the active in this matchup. Whatever the matchup may be, they have to provide their biggest threat, and we can just clear it off the board. So let's just include a switch card that can move an evolution Pokemon if we run into a situation that's bad. But here's a situation where the rope would be so good.
Flower selecting here. Can't see the cards quite yet. Roxanne going to the Lost Zone.
It's my
Nest
favorite
Ball
flex.
Found.
Favorite flex that you can do is we're not going to have a late game. We'll just throw that away.
This Nest Ball is going to be huge because you can search for that Radiant Greninja, concealed cards, some of those energies you found off Colress's experiment away. 2 extra cards. Sam's going to be able to dig a little bit deeper.
And we also saw switching effect, not escape rope, I believe was the switch card. But there is another Comfey in hand, I believe. So finding 4 cards for the discard pile should be fairly easy. Maybe a situation where you consider using a card like Pokegear to thin down. We'll see how desperate we get after seeing these 2 cards.
Water Energy and Giratina V-Star. Not really going to be that beneficial here. Does have the Pokegear in hand. I think we might just see a switch card. Flower selecting. You can also retreat and save the switch card to go into the Cramorant.
Yeah, and this lines up where if you find the escape rope, then you just use that resource instead. Wow. That is 2 more basic energies.
There is only 13 energy in the list. Of that, there's only 9 basic energy, and Sam has seen a lot of them.
At this point, you just consider that you're going to need a mix of those energies, though 1 grass and 1 psychic into the Lost Zone should be okay. Cramorant is going to get an early prize card in this matchup. But this for Bodhi is so awkward. Yeah, it's going to even use refinement now because there's no energy. You couldn't even Mirage Step for 1.
We do see a basic Pokemon. Does that mean Bodhi's going to continue to play this game here?
I mean, there is Counter Catcher. You can try to buy time, bring up that Radiant Greninja and avoid knockouts. You have the Zacian V. You have time. There's 68 minutes remaining. But once again, just an unfortunate setup.
This is not the usual Gardevoir we've been seeing time and time again on these tournament streams. Sam drawing for the turn. Roxanne, that's not going to do anything right now, but in a very good position, having access to concealed cards. Pokegear to try to find a Colress's experiment yet again. And the Pokemon you want to knock out's in the active, that Kirlia.
That's it. It's just a simple retreat from this point into the Cramorant, but of course you have more things that you can do. Draw those additional resources with the Radiant Greninja. You can use that Pokestop, or Pokegear, excuse me, and maybe find a Colress experiment. And if you do, continuing to build the Lost Zone while also knocking out the only Kirlia in play, that is disastrous for Bodhi.
Pokegear did not find any supporter for Sam, though. Just going to have to settle with the retreat, taking the knockout. But honestly, that just might be enough.
Yeah, it feels like the worst turn for you, where this was the bare minimum that you needed to accomplish. But it's totally fine in this situation. You see, Path to the Peak is in hand too. That could be a consideration, but you're playing around fringe scenarios where maybe your opponent was holding an energy and had Radiant Greninja, but it's so unlikely. But might as well just lock out some abilities and take a prize card.
Level ball off the top for Bodhi here. Go ahead and find a Ralts, but again, he's just playing so far behind.
It doesn't even beat boss's orders at this point, which once more is just the bare minimum that you could ask from Sam at this point. No additional cards into the lost zone, but Cramorant just continues to spit innocently left and right and knock out all of the viable Pokemon here for Bodhi. And this might be the last straw for Bodhi.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so innocent anymore. Boss's orders brings up that Ralts. And this Cramorant's going to take the easy KO yet again. Do we see the concession here? No. All right, maybe now.
Yeah. When you get the Battle VIP pass, you move on to game 2. Sam Hough with the quick 1-0 there in the top 4. That is exactly how you want to start things off. As the Giratina player, it didn't look great.
Yeah, it did not look great.
There wasn't anything fancy from either player. But if you were able to attack with Cramorant, you can win games.
Yeah, who needs Giratina? It's all about that Colress's experiment, those Comfeys, and Cramorant.
Well, you ready to check out the replay, Jeremy?
I am. 3 Battle VIP Pass. We were really worried for Sam in this early game, but combination of 2 Nest Ball able to close things out with that Colress's experiment, taking the knockout after knockout after knockout with that Cramorant. And it was enough for Sam Hough. And we're going to be going into game 2.
Till they quit. I like it. Yeah, moving into the second game here of the series. Let's ask the classic question of what does Bodhi need to do different here?
The Mew needs to find Battle VIP
Pass. Yes. The mysterious tail as opposed to the fail.
Let's take a look at our players' opening hands here. Radiant Greninja is going to be the starter for Bodhi. Didn't see what Sam started with, though.
Yep. I have no idea what's going on with Sam's side, but not great prize cards here. 1 refinement. Also the mysterious tail Mew hanging out there. Not the worst prizes for Sam. It's a good mix, but Radiant Greninja, thankfully there's an energy. Can you find some resources? Level ball added.
I think there's a couple level ball in hand. You can use that to go ahead and grab a Ralts, but honestly, you might be forced to use both of them just because you want to play around an escape rope play yet again. And meanwhile, Sam's hand's pretty stellar. You know those Battle VIP Pass that were in the prizes last game?
Oh, did they find their way home?
They did find their way home. They're in the hand. There's 2 of them.
Man.
We'll be doing a little prize check-in here.
Yep, there's no quit, and this young man wants to have the best opportunity to win game 2 here, so he's going to try to identify as many prize cards as possible within a realistic time frame. And then from that point on, you're just trying to build a bench, keep these Pokemon around so eventually they can evolve and draw you out of what didn't look like the best hand.
Listen, Pokemon's a young person game now.
What?
We're a little too old. We don't have the energy. These tournaments are getting bigger and bigger, longer and longer. And 15 rounds of Swiss, top 8, top 4. It's a lot of mental thinking, especially with a deck like Gardevoir. So many options through each of your turns.
It looks like second Ralts already moved to the bottom, so likely targeting that here as well. This is really all you can ask from your opening hand. Just have multiple Ralts in play. Don't run into that situation where the escape rope just completely takes you out of the game. And maybe there's a scenario where a card like Iono, whatever it may be, can bail you out of this situation, run you right into the appropriate Kirlia to maybe get a good setup.
And honestly, the Radiant Greninja in the active spot, probably the best place for it in this matchup, just because it soaks up a hit from that Cramorant.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen players time and time again retreating to this Pokemon, leaving it in the active spot and trying to let it soak up that shot, and eventually you can maybe remove that Pokemon with your stadium card and be just fine.
Now it looks a little weird here with that reversal energy on the Radiant Greninja. It's not going to have that boost available if Bodhi's losing, but you want to be able to retreat the active into your Waltz just to give you an out to Mirage Step, and that reversal energy is not going to help you Mirage Step, so might as well use it to retreat the next turn.
Yeah, if that Moonlight Shuriken was active, then maybe Sam would try to sneak a couple of those into his deck. He's like, hang on a second, did I miss something?
Battle VIP Pass number 1 for Sam here, eyeing down Radiant Greninja and Comfey. It's going to take a time to look through, check the prize cards. Nothing too bad, especially not like last game.
Yeah, this is a healthy mix here, where finding any of these prize cards could be helpful regardless of what your situation is throughout the early, mid, late stages of the game. And having this bench set up that we're likely going to see with the second Battle VIP Pass that you mentioned, that is everything that Giratina is looking for. Just not only thinning out these Pokemon, but eventually that just leads to even better draws, most likely, from the Flower Selectings and eventual Colress Experiment that you expect to see.
It'll be interesting to see if Sam goes with 3 Comfey, because it could signal a Jet Energy in the hand. One of my favorite plays with this deck, being able to use 3 Flower Selectings with just 1 energy attachment. There's that second Battle VIP Pass. Giratina V, and it seems like Cramorant are the choices for Sam here.
Yeah, once more, just identifying not only that the 2 Flower Selectings and the Colress Experiment are going to get the job done for that Cramorant, but you have an opportunity to draw into even better cards with the Radiant Greninja. And I do like seeing the early Giratina so often. Just having that threat for when you are presented with the Gardevoir EX can be night and day, especially if your opponent only sets up with the 2 Ralts.
And Jet Energy was found off the Flower Selecting for Sam, but with no other energy in hand, might want to use it for concealed cards, but no, attaches it to Giratina. We're going to see an Abyss Seeking here. The slower start for this Giratina deck, but able to look at the top 4 between the Lost Zone, and this is not a good look.
Build your own Colress, not looking like what you want. Sure, Pokegear could be a selection, and it's going to be the choice. Got to take some risks. Why not? You know, you already missed your supporter for the turn and had to promote the big guy. Let's take even more chances.
We do see Rare Candy, Gardevoir EX, and Bodhi's looking to get a little aggressive here. Who needs to Mirage Step?
Bodhi.
Yeah, probably.
There is Iono, thankfully.
There was also Ultra Ball, but you would be forced to discard that Manaphy. And with Radiant Greninja, even though there's only 2 water energies, it's still a very real possibility for Sam to get to, especially with that Abyss Seeking.
Yep.
And wow, Mirage Step found off the Iono. Psychic Energy to go along with it, retreats the Radiant Greninja. Is there any Kirlia in hand? I don't think so.
They're
just the 1 prize.
Yep. So the rest of the bench can fill up nicely. I didn't know if you were excited about Bodhi's hand or Sam's, because Sam found 3 Colress Experiment. He's certainly ready to do some experiments and find some additional resources here. But this is the awkwardness of promoting the Giratina V. It's a hard Pokemon to move if you don't have the switching effects.
At least having a couple basic energies can use that concealed cards, find a couple more cards before committing to a decision. Which of the Colress do you think Sam's going to play?
Middle.
The middle?
Oh. He made me look
Bad luck.
silly.
Yeah. Colress Experiment looks at the top 5 cards, put 3 in your hand, put the other 2 in the Lost Zone,
Found
and
the
wow.
4th Colress Experiment.
Don't need that one.
I mean, sure, it's cool to see them, but this is a nightmare scenario when you're playing against a deck that has 4 Iono. When you have all of them in your hand, they all go bye-bye when that card is played, down to the bottom of the deck.
Definitely going to be interesting to see, especially that Bodhi has a little bit more of a setup this game. Already those 2 Kirlia in play. Switch card found will allow Sam to continue to build that Lost Zone a little bit and eventually finish things off with that Cramorant. Boss's Orders and mystery card found off this flower selecting. There's the one Boss's Orders in hand, and Sam should know about it after searching through the deck and taking some notes. So this could be a very tough decision.
Yeah, I mean, the hand is huge, but not a lot of options within it. So losing
Boss's
the
Orders
boss
does go to Lost Zone. It was a path to the peak.
It's a very good resource in a matchup like this. We've seen players shying away from heavier counts of stadiums in Gardevoir. So occasionally you can catch them slipping.
And with that retreat, no path to the peak in play just yet. And just a spit innocently taking a knockout to start things off for game 2. Bodhi did promote that Gardevoir EX and uses Refinement, discards that Battle VIP pass. A little light on Psychic Energies, but did find a Fog Crystal.
Yeah, at this point, there's not many Psychic Energies even in the discard pile, so making sure that you can throw those away with the Radiant Greninja or potential Refinement is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, I think there's just the one from that Mirage step, Curlia. Concealed cards makes it 2, and ooh, Battle VIP pass yet again. Not really what you're looking for here. Ultra Ball is going to have the potential to find that Cresselia, which has been kind of missing from Gardevoir lists a lot recently. Makes its way back in, but usually has a stellar Lost Zone matchup. That Moonglow reverse is such a great attack if you're actually able to keep it together, pick off those Comfeys on the bench.
Yeah, and the math just lines up so well, too. Not only are you taking that knockout, but when you're staring down the Cramorant from the other side, it doesn't directly take a knockout against you. They want to move this Pokemon, but then they're using switching effects before they're using flower selectings, and it just doesn't line up well for Sam.
Interesting that Bodhi discarded the Zacian V and is committing to damaging the Gardevoir, but having just enough energy to be able to clean up that Moonglow reverse damage, take the knockout on a Comfey, tying things up.
Yep, just a little shortcut there. All those Pokemon would have received 2 damage counters, but then you just move the 80 over to that Comfey to take the knockout, and all the damage goes right away.
Nestball is going to shuffle things up for Sam, though, and that's exactly what you wanted to find after that Iono putting those remaining Colress's experiments on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, immediately just have to shuffle. It's terrifying to know that you aren't going to find any viable resource to draw into all of those additional cards. You're only at 6 cards in the Lost Zone right now, so not even Mirage Gate is open at this time. What else are you working with at this point? Certainly a basic energy would be nice to see, something to throw away with the Radiant Greninja and continue to draw. And it looks like that resource is there in the grass energy.
Concealed cards, finding 2 more cards for Sam. Is there a Colress's experiment in there? Does not look like it, but found the Giratina V-Star. No switch out here, though. So even though Sam has that Mirage Gate in hand, cannot use it just yet and might be forced to either retreat to the Comfey, find a switching out from there, or just spit innocently, put that damage on. But this Cresselia is going to stick around for another turn and be a nuisance for sure.
Yeah, not only is this an awkward play for Sam, it's also kind of weird for Bodhi too, as energies are not available to be played around and then eventually moved over as damage towards that Comfey. You need to see all those Psychic Energies now, and sure, there is that Fog Crystal, but thankfully is going to find an additional one there off of a Refinement.
Yeah, Bodhi opting not to use the Fog Crystal for those first 2 refinements to get a Psychic Energy in the discard, more due to the fact that you don't want to take out those energies from the deck because you need to draw into multiples of them. Yeah, there's no Psychic Energy left in the discard. Can we possibly see a concealed cards into another energy and Ultra Ball, the fabled Ultra Ball for Bodhi?
Well, post-path, certainly that is a consideration, and we do see that, but that is the 7th card in the Lost Zone for Sam.
Bodhi did find another energy, but I don't know if there's another way to get it into the discard just yet. Shining Arcana, Energy, Ultra Ball? No.
Yeah, just a massive hand, but doesn't quite know what to do with it just yet. Evolving that other Kirlia would be potentially disastrous if your opponent was able to target down Gardevoir EX and take a knockout there. So, yeah, just going to place some chip damage onto the Giratina V. Looks like the best option here for Bodhi. It's a bit of a stalemate.
But with Path to the Peak gone, that turns on Radiant Greninja yet again. Sam discarding that water energy, draws 2 more cards. We see that Technical Machine Devolution there. Could be something that is beneficial later on. We've seen it used effectively against Gardevoir.
Yep. Bench space was given to the Manaphy as opposed to the Jirachi, so maybe Pokemon like Spiritomb could, or Sableye would be able to help out later on. Honestly, what Pokemon's attacking in this situation, it hasn't lined up well against the Cresselia. Feels like Cramorant's just another wasted turn. But you got to start building threats. You have to challenge this Gardevoir EX and eventually try to take the knockout there.
I think we're just going to see a Spit Innocently yet again, cleaning up that damage from the Cresselia. But this is not the pace that Sam has wanted this game 2 to go. Thankfully, he is up that game 1.
Yeah, this is perfect for Bodhi, as Bodhi's been holding on to multiple counter catchers, waiting for an opportunity for Sam to take this prize card, which he does, and now Bodhi has to be thinking, oh yeah, I can knock out a Giratina V this turn.
With that knockout, Sam goes down to 4 prize cards, and like you said, that enables those counter catchers from Bodhi's side of the board.
Yeah, there's consideration to either Gardevoir in this spot. I think I like the Gardevoir EX more if you have the Psychic Energy, or just an option to grab that as doesn't matter if you're at 290.
Yeah.
280 is not going to work with the Lost Impact. So attachment for the turn there, or from Shining Arcana, would work out just fine.
So now 3 energy on that Shining Arcana Gardevoir, 1 on the active concealed cards, discards, and Psychic. So I think we're going to see potentially that Shining Arcana Gardevoir take the knockout this turn.
It's not as fun.
Not as fun. You got to do what you got to do, though, with the way the cards have been dealt. There's Reversal Energy, another powerful energy in this position. Hopefully saving it for a V-Star knockout, though. Does find another energy from the hand, so we can go with both here. Just really depends what Bodhi decides to do. Super Odd is going to shuffle back that Cresselia, Waltz, and the Zacian V. And even finding another Waltz here with Fog Crystal could be really good for the future.
Yep, certainly acknowledges that. He's going to play that Pokemon down. Could lead to finding an additional attacker later down the road. We do know that Bodhi is playing plenty of additional attackers with that Zacian V, Screamtail as well, so should be able to find the resources to close out as long as you can avoid some of those precarious spots. And even wants to do that here with just promoting some single prize Pokemon. You see Sam go to 4 prize cards remaining. You think, all right, I need to make sure we got a little longevity.
Brainwave for the knockout. Cramorant is no more. Sam has just a single Comfey to try to find a Colossus Experiment here to get to 10. But even then, maybe it's just a turn where you shred.
Yeah, I don't like that. But what can you do at this point? It's nothing lines up well. Bodhi's really put Sam in an awkward position, playing around the Cramorant's early attack. And this just led to no deck thinning, a lack of Colress Experiments, 7 cards in the Lost Zone, but we haven't seen the acceleration. And this is going to be the first time we see some energies start to hit the field.
how many energies are even left in the deck here. Grass and a Psychic, so that's what you need. But I think those are the last energies.
Yeah, wow. And we didn't see the entire deck there, but okay, now we did.
There's
and,
a Jet.
You know, that doesn't work.
I think Sam might be a little hesitant to actually attach both of these. Already has a Jet Energy in hand to bring up that Giratina V. I do believe there's a Super Rod, though.
Certainly worth thinking about there, as eventually maybe you want to switch gears, incorporate the Sableye when you do get enough cards in the Lost Zone, which should slowly start to occur.
Yep.
As there's going to be options to eventually get some cards in the Lost Zone here, starting off with that Comfey and that Thin of 2 energies. Was that enough to lean into a decent supporter?
Decent support. I think there's only one in this position right now. It's a Colress Experiment. Gets rid of Mirage Gate. Finds another Super Rod. Unfortunate. 2 cards there for Sam. Has that Roxanne, but is unable to play it, with Bodhi just having 4 prize cards left. I think we're going to see a Super Rod here. She'll back a couple energies and that Cramorant, potentially. I don't think there's any Pokemon search for that Pokemon just yet, but might as well use it while your opponent's prepping an Iono, most likely.
And at this point, even taking a prize card doesn't feel great. You walk right into another counter catcher scenario where if your opponents can just target down 2 of these V Pokemon, they're going to bring us to a game 3. So do you try to incorporate some chip damage? Well, it looks like the Shred is going to be a strategy here to go for.
Is there an avenue to evolving that Giratina V on the bench? You're going to have 220 left. It puts you out of range of Gardevoir EX, but still getting knocked out just from basically anything else.
Yeah, it's going to be reasonable when you consider that your opponent could use a card like Iono against you this turn. And that's just one less resource that you're trying to dig for.
Does look like Sam just decided to use Shred, take the knockout. Down to 3 prize cards here to Bodhi's 4. But look at that massive hand for Bodhi. Reversal Energy, counter catchers galore.
Yeah, all of the options are there for Bodhi at this point. And you can certainly find another Gardevoir at this point. You have that Reversal Energy, so you can avoid over-damaging this Pokemon, maybe walking into awkwardness where the Sableye could remove this Pokemon and deal additional damage to soften up a Pokemon like that Gardevoir. Super Rod is a big piece there, as this leads to finding even more of the Gardevoir line. Thankfully, we already saw that Ralts played on the previous turn.
Does look like a pretty good turn here lined up for Bodhi. Needs just an attacker to be able to take a knockout on this Giratina V in the active spot. Not even having to use that counter catcher just yet. Lots to think about here, though.
Yeah, at this point, just a strong consideration playing down the Jirachi can lead to maybe a different attacker having to be in the active spot against this Shiny Arcana Gardevoir, which you're likely going to load up with some Psychic Energies. Look at this. There's, what, only 8 cards left in the deck at this point.
Yeah, very stark contrast compared to the first game we've had here in our top 4. Bodhi has been firing on all cylinders since that Mirage step. Reversal Energy on the active, and here's an Iono. So this Gardevoir will be able to take the knockout with just a couple of Psychic Embraces. No energy off the top. Did find that Curlia, though, so another refinement here to thin even more.
Yeah, and this is just a great safeguard against your opponent finding the absolute nuts, which would be to knock out that Gardevoir EX and not be at risk of having all those energies come right back for a big knockout. Having that Curlia there means that you don't have to go fishing for a card like that Rare Candy. You're just one step closer. You can also continue to draw with the refinement down the road. Bodhi's got everything they need for the KO here to go down to just 2 prize cards remaining.
Does mean this Gardevoir is in range for a Cramorant Spit Innocently. Sam did put it back in the deck. I think it's in his hand right now. Flower selecting, look at the top 2, and again, this seems like a tough decision.
We've had so many of those at this point.
Colress's Experiment, Mirage Gate.
Oh, and this is just the one turn where you start to want to avoid cards like the Colress Experiment. You'd rather have a card like Roxanne in this situation where you can really apply a lot of pressure, draw so many cards, limit what your opponent is able to do. And there's not a lot of draw accessibility. It would just be the one refinement.
The Cramorant wasn't in the hand. It was the Manaphy. Cramorant found off this Colress's Experiment, along with a Jet Energy, so that's a way to get it into the active spot. But other than that, Escape Rope is the only available resource. Oh, no, there's a Switch in hand. The awkward thing, though, Sam being at 3 prizes, Bodhi is not going to be able to countercatcher next turn. Might be forced to rely off that one boss's orders.
Yep, the evolution is found, so some additional hit points provided to try to hang in there against what could potentially be the final turn as Bodhi tries to close things out here. It's, the prize cards are getting tight here. Sam now down to 2 prize cards as well.
Path to the Peak is big, though.
We've already seen the Lost Vacuum played. There is still a copy of Worker.
It's in hand as well. Countercatcher.
Huh.
That's not useful right now. There's an Ultra Ball, though. Boss's orders and a way to bump the stadium that isn't the Worker would do it, but having the Worker available, it's going to be a little tricky.
Yep. Is there a thin possibility with the Ultra Ball? As we see, what, 6 cards remaining here?
Oh, there's 2 stadiums left in the deck.
The reach is there with the Shining Arcana, a thin here with the Gardevoir.
Ultra Ball yet again. Discards the Worker, so we're going for it here. Screamtail.
Yeah, there were 2 Pokemon remaining. This thins down the deck plenty. There's an opportunity here with Shining Arcana to draw into the right resource. You find that stadium, you're going to be moving on.
There's the Artisan.
Yeah, that's
both
big.
of them,
yeah,
honestly.
That is a huge counter there as you need to find that draw the entire deck. Boss's orders to bring up the Giratina, and that means that with enough energies, you can take the knockout here and move into game 3.
Using literally the entire deck available to Bodhi. Able to clean up that game 2, moving on to game 3. And it is going to be a great game 3 to have in our top 4. And we have some updates. John Eng, 2-0 against Maddox.
Okay.
So if Bodhi is able to overcome this Lost Zone, Giratina has another of that same deck ready to wait in the finals. Or we could have that all Giratina V-Star match.
Yeah, the full mirror, which would be something else to see too. So obviously a lot to cheer for as we move into this final game. Both players, plenty of time here, just about half of the clock remaining of that 75 minutes. So plenty of time for a great closeout here in the top 4.
That was definitely some amazing sequencing and just thinning and plays from Bodhi to get to that point where it was guaranteed.
Yeah.
Able to overcome that path to the peak with that stadium there. But there was the Mirage Step. Really helped Bodhi get set up this game compared to the last. Cramorant some early work, but a little harder worker is that Cresselia. Moonglow reverse, taking the knockout on that Comfey, healing off all that damage from Psychic Embrace, and Sam just has to settle for Cramorant a lot of the times and was able to finally get a Mirage Gate going, but was forced to use Shred to take the knockout, and that's an easy return knockout from this Gardevoir yet again.
Yeah, you just look at the attacks that Sam has to commit to throughout the rest of this game. It's just spit innocently or shred and hope to stay in the game. Continually just a bit short, and I feel like we could see a completely different Game 3 here. There's so much potential for both of these decks to find better setups. As I mean, it's really been a struggle. We have not seen the explosive setup from Sam just yet. Even in the victory in Game 1, it was just spit innocently over and over again with 4 cards in the loss zone.
Now it does look like one of our players is going to take a quick bathroom break, so we're going to refrain from talking about the match at all. But let's talk about the weekend, Kyle. It is almost done.
Yep.
We are just one game here and then finals here. It has been a pretty good weekend so far in Portland. I have been loving it here so far. One of my favorite cities for Pokemon.
Yep, we could see the closeout there as John Eng takes that 2-0 victory against Maddox, who was on a great run. We, of course, did get to feature Maddox in the top 8 performance, taking down Makani Tran.
Yeah.
And sure enough, unable to get through John Eng. He's going to be waiting in the finals. And what a run it's been for John. Obviously, was the 9-0 player. He's been in that situation before. It has not worked out in those situations, and sure enough, it did this time around. Was able to move in the 6th seed of the tournament, and has just been on an absolute tear since making the top 8.
Yeah, John almost just not making the top 8 here too. Having to rely off that resistance. Yep. Very good resistance to start things off, especially when you're 9-0. You're playing all of the top players throughout the entire weekend, but it's finally maybe time.
Maybe.
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 We'll have to see. He's going to have to wait to see this Game 3 against both of our players here in this top 4, and I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, the matchup is so intricate. There's so many different plays. I feel like Cresselia is one of those cards that we often forget about in the matchup, as sure, it is very important that you're able to make that happen, but you don't always see it featured in Gardevoir. So if you don't have that resource, matchup can look totally different.
Now we have Portland here, and our next tournament is going to be Charlotte Regionals, and it's going to be in the same format. How do you feel like this tournament has kind of shaped the meta going forward?
Yeah, I feel like it's just shown something that we've already known, which is that the meta is wide open. Whatever you want to play, whatever your pet deck is, you can bring that, and we're excited to see what you're thinking is going to be the best deck for this tournament. Maybe it's not Charizard anymore, as Azul was hinting that there's been a lot of hate against the deck. A lot of players using their tech slots within their 60 to find a way to make that matchup even more difficult. So I'm excited to see which of the testing groups decide to go where. It seems like Mew VMAX always finds a way back into the top 8. Do we have to respect it? Is it time?
No, well, it did well this weekend, so that means the next tournament it's going to do bad because people are respecting it, and then it'll be good again.
Okay, so a lot of decks with
Knoxville
with the Drapion V.
Yeah.
Okay, but they all just keep throwing it away immediately off of flower selecting. Sounds good, Jeremy.
Looks like our players are ready and willing to get this Game 3 started in our top 4. Players have their basic Pokemon. Let's take a look at the prize cards. Radiant Greninja, Kirlia, Mew, Gardevoir EX. Meanwhile, Color's Experiment, Boss's Orders, Mirage Gate, VIP Pass for
that
players.
Hand was good. Sam, make that your hand. Honestly, both of these would be pretty good hands.
Bodhi starting off with a couple of Ralts here.
Whoa,
just a pass of the turn, all right.
Sometimes that's fine. Often it isn't. There could be the Kirlia and the Psychic Energy waiting, but this is not exactly what you want to see. And for Sam, the best card to start your turn there.
Ooh.
Wow. I like those.
Can we take all 5?
No, that would be cheating.
Battle VIP Pass, Comfey, an Energy, Path to the Peak, and that Giratina V-Star. Looks like Giratina V-Star is going to go to the Lost Zone. You don't really need it right now, but later on it's going to be a little hard to find.
Yeah, often it is just the one, and it is a fringe scenario where your opponent just overextends, plays down into the Gardevoir EX, and then you find an opportunity to remove it with a card like Counter Catcher. But you're talking about so many different things that could happen there. Instead, let's focus on the fact that you have a great setup ahead of you. The hand needed help, and sure enough, this Battle VIP Pass is going to do just that, getting plenty of cards into the Lost Zone, and you have to expect Cramorant to be closing out on this Ralts.
Yeah, you almost have to guarantee it, especially starting with that Colossus Experiment. Just one Jet Energy can do it for you there. You also have access to concealed cards with that energy in hand. Get a couple more cards, and of course, Flower Selecting, trying to find those switch outs to continue that train rolling. And yeah, we do see 2 Psychics and that Jet in hand to go along with a Path to the Peak. Sam taking some quick notes for those prize cards, but this looks like a very advantageous position for him.
Yeah, plenty of energies in the hand, so you can get a lot of usage out of that Radiant Greninja, which will also lead into an interesting dilemma here where you have Path to the Peak in hand. Do you want to avoid situations where maybe Bodhi does find that Radiant Greninja and tries to draw out of what could be a bad hand? Or you might also limit yourself.
Well, we're going to have to wait to see concealed cards. Discard that Psychic, draw 2. Grass and Mirage Gate found. It's not going to help just yet. There's the Nest Ball in hand. You can use that to thin out a little bit, but it seems like Jet Energy is going to enable a few Flower Selectings for Sam here. Nest Ball's eyeing down Giratina V. Always good to get one of those in play. Just threaten the potential of a big knockout.
I mean, it really does only take the 2 Comfey in a matchup like this. So with the other in hand, easily guaranteed. Do love, of course, thinning before the Flower Selecting. And
another Comfey, Path to the Peak.
Ooh. Oh, maybe you can.
You have a switch card in hand too.
Yeah. You could go to 5 cards in the Lost Zone fairly quickly. Table's shaking again. we got the nerves.
Table's getting excited. Flower Selecting here, looking at the top 2 yet again. Jet Energy, or no, Switch and Path to the Peak yet again. Wow.
That's all of them?
There's 4 in the list.
Okay.
And there's that Retreat. Spit Innocently. Does this turn 2 have anything from Bodhi here? We're expecting a Mirage Step angle.
We're really hoping for a Mirage Step angle, or else it is just puppy power. Zacian V.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Puppy power indeed. Roar of the Sword. Search your deck for a Psychic Energy. Attach it to one of your Pokemon, but ends your turn. And this is not the Game 3 Bodhi has been hoping for.
There's a boss's orders in hand.
Yeah, he grabbed it from the prize cards. Like, he knew this was coming.
Oh, this is exactly what you think about when your opponent goes to the bathroom. Imagine a world where not only there's only one Ralts in play, but he slaps the energy on it too.
Oh, no. Sam writing some notes of, yeah, I'm going to have a good turn next turn.
What am I going to do with all this money? Of course, not to talk too soon. There's always a backup plan with Gardevoir, but seeing the Ralts go down in this instance, that is nightmare fuel.
Indeed. Bodhi taking a look to check the prize cards because this is the first real search that he's had this game, and it's ending his turn. How bad do you think Sam wants to just draw his card? Play that boss's orders.
The patience that we've seen from players so often when they already have that availability. We've seen that with Vance Kelly. We're winning the World Championship. Just had to wait 9 minutes there with a boss's orders in hands. Like, I'm the champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion.
Azul waiting for Grant to hit that Giratina V-Star, having the boss's orders in hand already.
Yep. Just stop playing cards. And Sam certainly still has a few moves. Jet Energies, switch carts. Great ways to continue to build up the Lost Zone and not skip a beat. But ultimately, this is a boss's orders kind of turn.
Roxanne going to the Lost Zone. Giratina V-Star found for Sam Hough here. Jet Energy will allow another flower selecting. Build up that Lost Zone. Going to have 6. Maybe find a Colress's Experiment for next turn. Looks like Mirage Gate Nest Ball was the 2 card. Or Super Rod Nest Ball. And there is that retreat. Cramorant in the active. And a big boss's orders coming down. And Bodhi's not liking that.
Rightfully so. Pat to the peak. And once again, add a little insult to injury. Cresselia is promoted. There's a Gardevoir found.
That's not going to really help you there.
Yeah, doesn't that evolve from something? What was it called again?
Ralts?
Yeah.
Curlia?
A couple of those guys would be nice.
Just a quick pass of the turn back to Sam. And with a stacked hand like this, who even cares that you have 2 Battle VIP pass in there?
Jet Energy just showing off
one of my favorite cards.
how effective it can be. Now the Lost Zone almost at full capacity.
Switch Cart and Pokegear are the 2 cards found. I like the Pokegear here in this instance.
Well, you have to think that we're getting into Shred territory pretty soon. Be an opportunity to just remove this Cresselia, provide a big threat.
I think Sam agrees with you here. Finding that Grass and Psychic Energy might be forced to use another Mirage Gate, having already attached for the turn. But there is plenty of basic energies left in the deck to do just that.
You taking notes in a spot like this?
No. But that's why I'm here and Sam is there.
Absolutely.
Bodhi's just having a feeling that he's not winning.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Pokegear, we haven't seen it find the right cards just yet, and
How about a Roxanne?
that's not the one, but who cares?
And get it out of the deck.
Yeah, you don't want to see that again. Bodhi says it's just a blank card. It's not going to matter this game.
He's like, I'm not taking prizes.
Yep. Do appreciate the humor that comes along with being in this situation, understanding the gravity of it, but ultimately understanding that both players here to have a good time, and it's how it goes down sometimes.
And Abyss seeking here, taking things a little slow, but you have time to do just that. Ooh. Battle VIP pass off the top of the deck for Bodhi Robinson here, and that's not doing anything.
That's just mean.
You can throw it away with this Lost Vacuum, but no, just the pass of the turn. Sam finds another Mirage Gate here, and oh boy.
Yep, holding boss's orders that was found off the Abyss seeking, even if Bodhi finds the Miracle Ralts, just bring that right back up and take a knockout. Shred taking another prize. Sam moving to 3 prize cards remaining.
All right, over under on Bodhi taking a prize this game. It is not looking good, and there you have it. Conceding game 3. Sam Hough moving on to your finals, and we have an all Giratina V-Star finals, Kyle.
All right.
Yay.
Yay for my caster predictions, but ultimately, commiserations to Bodhi there. It's just unfortunate that that's the way that things go down for you. Obviously, in your first year in the Masters division, you expect to see a player like this have some struggles and maybe not make their way to situations like this. But sure enough, in the top 4, and was really just a couple draws away from potentially being in the finals against John Eng.